The interest of the authors focuses on the strategic role that ecological networks assume in the green infrastructures as well as on the opportunity to integrate ecological networks with other functional networks with the aim of establishing environmental compatibility with the surrounding context. In recent years, the ecological network concept has been proposed for the environmental rehabilitation of anthropized territories. The construction of an urban ecological network is based on two fundamental strategies. The first is the improvement of the environmental quality of the areas, potential natural basins, present in the cities. The second is the network connection of the same areas. The construction of the ecological network starts from an ecological environmental analysis, identifies the elements that constitute it, and finally assesses the level of overall quality in order to define the possible strategic actions necessary for its implementation. The ecosystemic ecological analysis is based on ecological indicators and analytical descriptive methods capable of detecting the level of territorial fragmentation and defining the initial ecological structure. The construction of the ecological network is possible through the application of landscape structural and biological functional criteria. The efficiency of the network is subject, as said previously, to an acceptable level of the ecological environmental quality of the structural elements that constitute it. If this condition, verified through a comparison with the results of the analytical phase, is not satisfied, it is necessary to identify for some elements more appropriate environmental rehabilitation interventions so as to improve the overall level of ecosystemic ecological quality. Considering the strategic role that ecological networks can play in the regeneration processes of anthropized contexts, a further methodological development of the research has included the construction, through a model, of a functional network of urban open spaces with a dual purpose. On the one hand, to provide an integrated system of connecting spaces, for relaxation and sharing, maximizing the accessibility and soft mobility, while on the other, the task of increasing the ecological environmental quality interfacing with the territorial ecological network. The connection areas, the parts of the territory in which the overlap is achieved between the functional open spaces network and the territorial ecological network, has a key role in the model and is characterized by a higher naturalness compared to other functional areas. The connecting areas still need to interface with the urban context, a task performed in the model by a buffer zone that is placed at the edge of the connecting areas with a dual purpose: preserve the environmental values of the intercepted ecological network and bring the city and users closer to its use in the perspective of both a responsible use of the environment as well as participation in the exploitation mechanisms that the network should trigger. Thinking in macro terms, from a performance point of view, these areas should be a place of experimentation of strategies aimed at reducing the environmental impacts resulting from anthropic activities. In macro terms, from a performance point of view, these areas should be a place of experimentation of strategies aimed at reducing the environmental impacts resulting from anthropic activities. The final objective of this scientific work is to define the technological interventions that allow to obtain interconnected open areas for the conservation and requalification of the natural resources present in the territory and the conservation among the environmental and landscape values of the areas for an overall enhancement of the territory. For the achievement of this objective, the territory should be conceived as an organism with a dynamic equilibrium achieved through the technological control of complex functions. The sustainable territory should be configured as an urban ecosystem with high ecological and environmental standards in which each process is controlled so that its impact, and consequently the induced irreversible degradation, is the minimum possible in relation to the process constraints. In this scheme we summarize the main regeneration strategies that use natural components such as water and green resources that work to transform the urbanized into an urban ecosystem. Thanks for your attention.